Understanding Percents, Part 2. So just to review, we have these symbols, which we know, right? We have the first one on top, per cento, which is percent, per hundred, percent, that's what it means. And this one is per mille, or per thousand, And most of the time we'll just use this one. But if I give you a quiz and I say, what is this? You'll say per thousand. So just to review a model, we have a model. What is this percent? What is that percent? Well, we have 100. We know percents have to be based on 100. If you have 100, you know what the percent is if you count the shaded boxes. So we have 10 here and 12. So this is 12 over 100. And 12 over 100 is 12%. And just to review how we made the decimal, remember we just take the percent sign, move it twice to the left, 1, 2, and there's your decimal, 0.12. We have our fraction, our decimal, and our percent. Now what if we didn't have 100 boxes and we modeled and we had something like this? We have 4 boxes. So as the fraction, we have 1 shaded and 4 total. That's the fraction. Remember, it's not the ratio, it's the fraction. We have 1/4. So how do we make a percent out of 1/4? Well, we can make equal ratios. That's one way. So we have 1/4, the green, 1 green, 4 white. Actually, that's not true. 4 total. 4 total. If we wanted to make a ratio, it's 1 green and 3 white. That's the ratio. But this is the fraction. 1 green, 4 total. Remember, a fraction is part to whole. So we want to get 100, because remember, if we have 100, we know the percent. So here we have 1/4 equals x over 100. We're trying to find what x is. And we did this in the last video. So 4 times what is 100? Or 100 divided by 4 will give us our answer. So 100 divided by 4, or 4 times 25, gives us 100. So we have to multiply the top by 25 and the bottom. And we know that x is 25 hundredths. And 25 hundredths mean 25%. And the decimal? What's a decimal? Just move it twice. And you get 0.25. So that's one way of doing it, but there's another way. We can change the fraction right away to a decimal. That's another way of doing it. So here we have our fraction, 1/4. And we kick that 1 into the box. The top number is always in the box. And we just divide. So 4 doesn't go into 1, so we put the decimal, the 0. We extend it. Remember, dot 0, extend. So 4 goes into 20 twice. We get 8. Bring down, we have the 2, bring down the 0, and 4 goes into 20. And we get 0.25. Now that's not the percent, that's the decimal. How do we make the percent? So we have 0.25, and we move it twice, 1, 2, and there we go, 25%. So those are the two ways you can do it. And just remember again, it's the fraction that's 1/4, and the ratio is 1/3, or 1 to 3. So knowing that, see if you can do this. Make a ratio, a fraction, and a percent on the blue. So what do you think you can do here? We have 4 shaded in and 10 total. So we know the fraction is 4/10. That's the fraction. The ratio is 4 over 6. Remember, ratio is part to part, and fraction is part to whole. So we're making equal ratios here. We want to get 100. 10 times 10 is 100, so 4 times 10 is 40. So 40 over 100 is 40%. Now, what's the other way? We did the other way by dividing. So we have 4/10, which you can reduce, by the way. You don't have to do it 4/10. You can do 2/5 also. Either way. So if we did 4/10, what goes in the box? The top number. 10 doesn't go into 4. Dot 0 extend, but 10 goes into 40. So you have 0.4. So what is 0.4? Move it twice. 1, 2. You have that wave there. Anytime we have a wave, what do? Put a 0. So we moved it twice, and we get 40%. Now if you did it with 2/5, same way, 2 goes in the box, and 5 goes in the 20, move that over. There's our 0.4, same thing, 40%. So you can divide or you can make equal ratios. Now what if you had a circle graph? What do you think a fraction could be made with this? Let's say we did cloudy days. Find the percent of cloudy days. Well, what's the fraction of cloudy days? Well, what's the total? There's 8, 10, 14 total days. So there's 14 total days, and there's 4 cloudy days. So there's the fraction. If you wanted to do a ratio, you have to compare certain days. Let's say I wanted to say cloudy days to sunny days. Well, the cloudy days to sunny days will be 4 to 8. Right? What if I did rainy days to sunny days? Well, that would be 2 to 8. What if I did sunny days to cloudy days? The reverse. Whatever comes first you have to do. And of course, you can simplify those. So here's our fraction, 4 over 14. That's our fraction. How do we get the percent of the cloudy days? How do we get the percent then? Try that. So again, the fraction was 4 over 14. By the way, if you want to know the ratio of cloudy days to all the days, the ratio is 4 to 10. So the 4 to 10 would be 4 cloudy days and 10 of the non-cloudy days. That's the 4 to 10. The ratio is 4 over 14. The fraction is 4 over 14. You can reduce it to 2 over 7, whatever one you want to do. So if you did this the division way, some students are like the division way. 7 goes into 20. How many times? Twice. That's 14. Then you have a 6. 7 goes into 60. How many times? 8. That's 56. And I'm running out of room. So basically, and then you'll have a 4 here. Bring that down, see if we can fit it. There we go. And 7 goes into 45 times, and this is going to keep going. So it's the percent, if you move this twice, 1, 2, it'd be about 28.5%. It's about 28.5%. So the first way we can just divide, you could have had 4 in the box also if you wanted to do that. But let's say you want to do it as an equal ratio. Well, if we wanted to do it as an equal ratio, only the 2 goes into 100. But remember, the denominator, not the numerator, the denominator has to be 100. So write that down. The denominator has to be 100 in order for you to get the percent. And you know 7 doesn't go into 100, so what you have to do is get as close as you can. So just divide 100 by 7. And if you divide 100 by 7, you get an answer that continues. You get 14.2857, and it continues. It's a rational number, but this is going to continue for a while. So you can stop at the 100th place. 2 times 14.28, and it gives you 28.56. So you can just say roughly, and it's very close to our answer, 28.5%. It's very close to our division answer. So again, make sure that the denominator can go into 100, and 7 does not, so get as close as you can. And all you have to do is just do 100 divided by 7. Now when you're looking at percent graphs, like the circle graph here, it's very important when you see graphs that they all equal 100%. 100% is all you can have, right? Now you can make percents greater than 100, and we'll talk about that. But remember, it has to make sense. Part to whole is what we're looking at. The whole, let's say for example you have a class of 30 people, and I asked a question to the 30 people in the class. The part can never be bigger than the whole. The part can be the same as the whole. If I ask 30 students if they want to go to recess, and 30 say yes, well, you can do that. Everyone said yes. That's 100%. Why is it 100%? Well, 30 over 30 is 1. Here's the decimal when you have 1. 1.0. Move it twice. 1, 2. That's 100%. Now, does it make sense if I ask 30 students in the class and there's only 30 students that 50 said yes? No, it doesn't make sense. So the part can't be bigger than the whole. But, again, I said we can have percents greater than 100, and we'll talk about them in another video. So always watch out for the wrong percent totals. Let's say you had these sports, right? And we asked kids in the class what's their favorite sports. And let's say 20% said baseball, and 20% said football, and 20% said basketball. So right now we have 60%. So soccer has to be 40%, or else we've done something wrong. You can't say 50%, because this is more than 100. Can't be. It's impossible. So you know if I gave you this, the remainder has to be 40%, because it has to equal 100%, unless you didn't ask everybody in the class. So watch out for that. Okay, here's our last one. See if you can find a fraction and a ratio and a percent of the orange to the white. See if you can find it. Okay, the first is to find the total. What is the total of all the boxes? There's 1, 2, 3, 4, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There's 20 boxes. We have 20. And how many are orange or shaded? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6 over 20. So there's our fraction already, 6 over 20. What's the ratio? The ratio of orange to the white. Remember, ratios compare. So there's 6 orange, and how many whites would there be? There'd be 14. Remember, ratios are part to part. The part and the part have to equal the whole. The ratio, the fraction. Now what's the percent? Remember, we can do this 2 ways. One is to get an equivalent ratio. 20 goes into 100, we know that. So 20 goes into 100 how many times? 5 times. So it's just times 5 on the bottom and times 5 on top. Remember, you have to times it the same amount. 30 over 100 gives us 30%. So that's the fraction. That's the percent. Now, if you want to do it the division way, let's look at it. 60 over 20. You can also say 3 over 10. And if you do 3 over 10, 3 goes in the box, 10 goes in the 30, 3 times is 0.3, and 0.3, move it twice, 30%. All right, great job.